His story begins in the year 673, in a land that was slowly awakening to new possibilities of faith and learning. The kingdom of Northumbria stretched across what we now call northeastern England, a realm of rolling hills and gentle valleys where ancient ways were gradually giving way to the light of Christian wisdom. This was an age when morning mists still clung to the oak groves that had witnessed centuries of Celtic tradition. Yet now the sound of church bells began to echo across the countryside, calling faithful souls to prayer. The landscape itself seemed to hold both old and new in tender embrace. Stone circles from forgotten ages stood not far from newly built monasteries, their walls rising like beacons of hope against the evening sky. Small villages dotted the river valleys, their thatched roofs and garden plots speaking of lives lived in harmony with the turning seasons. Into this world of quiet transformation, a child was born who would grow to become one of Christianity's most beloved saints and England's first great historian. Though we know little of his earliest days, we can imagine young Bede's first years unfolding in this peaceful setting, perhaps watching the play of sunlight through the leaves of ancient trees, or listening to the gentle murmur of streams that wound their way through meadows bright with wildflowers. The air carried the scent of damp earth after rain, mingled with the smoke from hearth fires in modest homes, where families gathered in the fading light to share simple meals and stories passed down through generations. The daily lives of people in these rural communities revolved around the cycles of planting and harvest, with the changing weather marking the passage of time in a steady, predictable rhythm. The England of Bede's childhood was a patchwork of kingdoms, each finding its own path toward the Christian faith that missionaries had brought from distant Rome. Kings and nobles were embracing this new religion, not through conquest or force, but through the gentle persuasion of holy men and women who spoke of love and redemption. Monasteries were beginning to appear like islands of serenity across the land, founded by those who sought to create havens where prayer, learning, and service to God could flourish in perfect harmony. These early communities were places where the rhythms of daily life aligned with the cycles of nature, from the first light of dawn to the soft fall of night. In such settings, children like Bede grew up amid a blend of old pagan customs and emerging Christian practices, with festivals and holy days marking the year. These early monasteries were more than places of worship. They were centers of learning and culture that preserved the wisdom of ages past while nurturing new growth in Christian scholarship. The monks who lived within their walls were not only men of prayer, but also teachers, scribes, and keepers of knowledge. They copied ancient texts by candlelight, their patient work ensuring that the wisdom of classical antiquity and early Christian thought would survive for future generations. In Northumbria, this blend of old and new created a fertile ground for young minds, where the stories of saints and scholars mingled with the lore of the land. The region's natural beauty, with its wide moors and coastal cliffs, provided a backdrop that encouraged reflection and wonder. The Kingdom of Northumbria, where young Bede would spend his entire life, had become particularly welcoming to this new flowering of Christian culture. Kings like Oswald and Oswiu had not only embraced the faith themselves, but had invited missionaries and scholars to establish communities throughout their realm. The result was a landscape increasingly dotted with churches and monasteries, each one a center of light and learning, in a world that was still emerging from darker times. Rivers like the Tyne and Wear flowed steadily through the region, their banks lined with willows and reeds, providing paths for travelers and traders who brought news from afar, weaving the isolated communities into a broader tapestry of shared beliefs and knowledge. In this peaceful setting, surrounded by the gentle rhythms of rural life and the growing presence of Christian communities, little Bede took his first steps into a world that would shape him profoundly. The air he breathed carried the scents of wildflowers and newly turned earth, but also something else, the sense of new beginnings, of ancient wisdom being rediscovered and cherished anew. The child born in 673 could not have known that he would grow up to illuminate the world with his gentle scholarship, or that his writings would preserve for all time the story of how Christianity took root in English soil. He was simply a young soul beginning life's journey in a land where faith and learning were awakening together, creating perfect conditions for a saint whose wisdom would shine like a quiet star through all the centuries to come. Though details of Bede's family remain lost to history, it is likely they were of modest means, perhaps farmers or craftspeople living in one of the small settlements near the emerging monastic centers. In those days, children often learned through observation and simple tasks, helping with chores that taught them the value of steady work and patience. The natural world around them served as a constant teacher, with the changing seasons offering lessons in renewal and endurance. Birds sang in the hedgerows, and herds grazed on open fields, all part of a harmonious existence that fostered a deep appreciation for creation. As Bede approached his 7th year, The influences of this early environment had already begun to form his character. The stories he might have heard from elders, tales of heroic kings converting to the faith, or of missionaries crossing seas to bring the gospel, sparked a quiet curiosity. The presence of nearby monasteries, with their bells tolling at regular hours, introduced him to the structure of communal prayer and study. This foundation, laid in the calm of Northumbria's countryside, prepared him for the path ahead, where contemplation and learning would become the pillars of his existence. The humble beginnings in this verdant land set the stage for a life dedicated to understanding the divine through the lens of history and scripture. When young Bede reached his 7th year, his life took a gentle turn that would shape all his days to come. His family, perhaps recognizing something special in the quiet, thoughtful child, made the decision to bring him to the monastery of Saint Peter at Wearmouth. This was not an unusual choice in those times, when families often entrusted their children to monastic communities for education and spiritual formation. Yet for Bede, this moment marked the beginning of a journey that would lead him to become one of Christianity's most treasured scholars. The monastery stood near the mouth of the River Wear, its sturdy walls overlooking the steady flow of water that connected the inland hills to the vast North Sea. The surrounding landscape was one of open fields and scattered woodlands, where the wind carried the faint salt of the coast, mingling with the earthy scents of fertile soil. The monastery at Wearmouth had been founded just 6 years earlier by a remarkable nobleman named Benedict Biscop. Benedict had traveled extensively throughout Europe, journeying as far as Rome and the great monasteries of Gaul, gathering not only books and sacred objects, but also deep insights into how a monastic community might become a true center of learning and devotion. His vision for Wearmouth was ambitious yet peaceful. He wished to create a place where the beauty of worship and the pursuit of knowledge could flourish together in perfect harmony. Benedict's travels had exposed him to the finest examples of monastic life, from the grand basilicas of Italy to the scholarly scriptoria of France, and he brought back artisans, masons, and glaziers to build something enduring in the Northumbrian soil. The result was a community that blended Roman elegance with local simplicity, its buildings arranged around a central courtyard where monks could walk in quiet reflection. As 7-year-old Bede first approached the monastery gates, he would have seen buildings unlike any others in the Northumbrian countryside. Benedict had chosen to construct his monastery in the Roman style, with walls of carefully fitted stone and windows of precious glass that caught and scattered the northern light into rainbow patterns. The chapel, the heart of the community, was adorned with beautiful paintings and carvings that Benedict had commissioned from skilled artisans, creating an environment where every surface seemed to speak of the glory and beauty of God. Inside, the air was warmed by braziers in winter and cooled by sea breezes in summer, fostering a sense of shelter from the world's uncertainties. The gardens provided fresh herbs and vegetables, tended with care to sustain the brothers through the changing seasons. The transition from family life to monastic life might have been overwhelming for such a young child. Yet everything we know about Bede suggests that he adapted with remarkable ease to this new world of prayer and study. Perhaps there was something in his gentle nature that was naturally drawn to the peaceful rhythms of monastic life. Or perhaps the monks themselves, experienced in caring for young oblates, created an environment so nurturing that the boy felt immediately at home. The community at Wearmouth was small but devoted, with brothers who had come from various walks of life. Some former warriors who had laid down their swords for the plow, others scholars seeking solitude. They welcomed Bede into their fold, guiding him through the initial days with patient kindness. The daily routine at Wearmouth followed the ancient pattern established by Saint Benedict of Nursia, with the community gathering 7 times each day for the canonical hours of prayer. Young Bede would have joined his new brothers in the chapel for matins in the deep hours before dawn, when the world was still wrapped in darkness, and the monastery seemed like a small ship of light floating on an ocean of silence. His small voice would have blended with the deeper tones of the older monks as they chanted the ancient psalms that had been sung by countless generations of believers. The chants rose and fell like the tide, creating a soothing cadence that marked the passage of time. Between these gatherings, there were periods for work in the fields or workshops, where hands busied themselves with tasks that supported the community's self-sufficiency, baking bread, brewing ale, or tending livestock that grazed on nearby pastures. Between the times of communal prayer, the monastery offered young Bede opportunities for learning that few children of his age could have imagined. The monks who served as teachers were themselves men of considerable education, many having studied at other great centers of learning before coming to Wearmouth. They taught not only reading and writing, skills that were precious and rare in that age, but also the deeper arts of understanding Scripture, copying manuscripts with careful precision, and contemplating the mysteries of faith. Lessons took place in quiet rooms lit by tallow candles, where the scratch of quill on parchment became a familiar sound. Bede's quick mind absorbed these teachings readily, finding joy in the patterns of Latin grammar and the stories of biblical figures. The library at Wearmouth was Benedict's Biscop's particular pride, a collection of manuscripts that represented years of careful gathering and acquisition. Here were not only the essential texts of Christian learning, the scriptures, the writings of the great church fathers, collections of saints' lives and theological treatises, but also works of classical literature and natural philosophy that preserved the wisdom of ancient Greece and Rome. For a child with Bede's remarkable intellectual gifts, this library must have seemed like a treasure house beyond all imagining. Volumes bound in leather rested on wooden shelves, their pages filled with illuminated letters that glowed in the soft light. Bede would spend hours poring over these books, his fingers tracing the elegant script as he committed passages to memory. In this environment of gentle discipline and loving guidance, young Bede began to flourish. The monastery became more than simply a school or a place of residence. It became his true home, the foundation upon which his entire life would be built. Here, surrounded by the beauty of worship and the treasures of learning, a 7-year-old child began the journey that would lead him to sainthood. The steady routine provided structure, while the natural surroundings offered moments of quiet wonder, watching seabirds wheel over the river, or feeling the soft rain that nourished the earth. As the years passed in this serene setting, Bede's spirit deepened, rooted in the harmonious life of the community that had welcomed him so warmly. The entry into Wearmouth marked not just a change of place, but the awakening of a lifelong devotion to knowledge and faith, unfolding slowly like the dawn over the Northumbrian hills. As the years unfolded in the tranquil embrace of Wearmouth, young Bede's world expanded further when, at around the age of 9, he moved to the newly established sister monastery at Jarrow. This companion foundation, also created by Benedict Biscop, stood just a short distance away along the River Tyne, its stone walls rising steadily amid the open meadows and coastal winds. The two monasteries were envisioned as twin beacons of learning, connected by shared purpose and resources, allowing monks to travel between them as needed. For Bede, this transition marked a deepening of his scholarly path. As Jarrow offered fresh spaces for study and reflection, its cloisters echoing with the same gentle rhythms of prayer that had become so familiar to him. Under the guidance of wise mentors like Abbot Ceolfrith, who had accompanied Benedict on his journeys and shared his vision for monastic excellence, Bede immersed himself in a world of dedicated learning. Ceolfrith, a man of quiet authority and profound devotion, oversaw the community's growth with a steady hand, ensuring that education flowed harmoniously alongside spiritual practice. The days at Jarrow followed a balanced routine, where mornings might begin with the soft glow of dawn illuminating the scriptorium, and afternoons gave way to contemplative walks along the riverbanks, where the steady flow of water mirrored the unhurried pace of intellectual pursuit. Bede's mentors recognized his natural curiosity and keen intellect, nurturing these gifts without haste, allowing knowledge to settle like dew on morning grass. At the heart of Bede's education lay the sacred scriptures, which he approached with a gentle reverence that would define his life's work. The monks taught him to read the Latin Vulgate Bible, its pages filled with stories of creation, prophets, and apostles that unfolded like ancient tapestries. He learned to parse the texts carefully, exploring their layers of meaning through grammar, rhetoric, and theology passed down from the Church Fathers like Augustine and Jerome. These studies were not mere rote exercises, but invitations to ponder the divine order woven through the words, fostering a deep harmony between faith and understanding. In the quiet hours of the scriptorium, surrounded by the faint scent of ink and parchment, Bede copied passages by hand, his quill moving steadily across the page, preserving Holy Writ for future generations, while internalizing its wisdom. Beyond Scripture, Bede's scholarly formation embraced the liberal arts, drawing from the classical traditions that Benedict Biscop had so carefully collected. He delved into grammar and rhetoric, mastering the elegant structures of Latin that allowed thoughts to flow with clarity and grace. Arithmetic and geometry opened his eyes to the mathematical patterns underlying the natural world, from the measured proportions of monastery architecture to the orderly progression of seasons. Music, too, held a special place in his studies, as he learned the principles of chant and harmony that enriched the daily offices, their melodies rising like soft waves in the chapel. The Gregorian modes, with their serene scales, taught him how sound could elevate the spirit, blending human voice with the eternal. Astronomy and the sciences further enriched Bede's mind, as mentors introduced him to the works of ancient scholars like Ptolemy and Pliny. He observed the night sky from Jarrow's open grounds, noting the steady paths of stars and planets against the vast darkness, calculating the cycles of moons and tides that governed monastic calendars. These pursuits revealed the intricate design of creation, where celestial movements aligned with earthly rhythms, inspiring a quiet awe for the cosmos. Bede also explored natural history, studying herbs in the monastery gardens and the behaviors of birds along the coast, seeing in them reflections of divine providence. His learning extended to chronology and computation, skills that would later help him reconcile historical timelines with sacred events, all pursued in an atmosphere of peaceful inquiry. The library at Jarrow, augmented by Benedict's acquisitions, became Bede's cherished sanctuary, its shelves lined with volumes that spanned centuries of thought. Here, amid the soft rustle of turning pages, he encountered philosophical treatises, historical accounts, and scientific observations, each one adding depth to his understanding. The monks encouraged collaborative study, where older brothers shared insights from their own travels or readings, creating a community bound by shared wonder. Bede's formation was holistic, weaving together the spiritual and the intellectual, much like the interlaced patterns in illuminated manuscripts. He learned computus, the art of calculating Easter dates, blending mathematics with liturgical needs in a way that honored both reason and tradition. Through these years of steady growth, Bede's character deepened, shaped by the nurturing environment of Jarrow. The monastery's location near the sea brought occasional whispers of waves against the shore, a soothing backdrop to his studies, while the surrounding countryside offered moments of solitude amid wildflowers and gentle hills. Plagues and hardships visited the community at times, testing their resilience. Yet these trials only strengthened Bede's commitment to knowledge as a light in uncertain days. His mentors, through patient example, showed him how learning could serve faith without diminishing either, cultivating in him a balanced wisdom that would endure. By his late teens, Bede had become not just a student, but a budding teacher. His mind, a quiet repository of insights gained from ancient texts and observant living. This period of scholarly formation laid the groundwork for his future contributions, unfolding gradually, like the slow turn of seasons in Northumbria's serene landscape, where faith and knowledge intertwined in perfect, unassuming harmony. As Bede's scholarly foundation strengthened through his teenage years at Jarrow, the natural progression of his monastic life led him toward ordination, a quiet milestone that deepened his role within the community. At the age of 19, in the year 692, he was ordained as a deacon by Bishop John of Hexham, a gentle ceremony that marked his formal entry into clerical service. This step was not hurried, but unfolded with the same steady rhythm that governed the monastery's days, allowing Bede to embrace new responsibilities amid the familiar surroundings of stone walls and river views. As a deacon, he assisted in the liturgy, reading the Gospel during Mass, and helping distribute the Eucharist, his voice carrying softly through the chapel, where candlelight flickered against ancient icons. The daily life of a monk at Jarrow enveloped Bede in a serene pattern of prayer and work, where each hour contributed to a harmonious whole. The community rose before dawn for matins, their chants blending with the first hints of light filtering through narrow windows, creating a sense of continuity with generations past. Bede would join his brothers in these gatherings, his presence adding to the collective devotion that filled the air like a soft mist over the Tyne. Between the canonical hours, lauds at daybreak, prime, terce, sext, none, vespers at evening, and compline before rest, the monks engaged in manual labor, tending gardens where herbs grew in neat rows, or working in the bakery where the warmth of ovens provided comfort on cool Northumbrian mornings. Bede, with his growing knowledge, often turned to intellectual tasks, but he also shared in these humble duties, finding in them a quiet balance that nurtured both body and spirit. 11 years later, at the age of 30, Bede received ordination as a priest, again under Bishop John's guidance, in a simple rite that affirmed his lifelong commitment to the Church. This elevation allowed him to celebrate Mass and hear confessions, roles he approached with the same unassuming dedication that characterized his studies. The monastery at Jarrow, now under Abbot Ceolfrith's steady leadership, had grown into a thriving center, its scriptorium buzzing softly with the scratch of quills and the turn of pages. Bede's days as a priest intertwined seamlessly with his scholarly pursuits, as he began to teach younger monks the arts of grammar, scripture, and computation that he had mastered. Lessons occurred in quiet corners of the cloister, where the afternoon sun cast long shadows across flagstone floors, and students absorbed knowledge like earth soaking in gentle rain. The serene duties within the monastery walls formed the backbone of Bede's existence, a tapestry of routine that fostered deep inner peace. Mornings often found him in the library, poring over manuscripts that Benedict Biscop had gathered from distant lands, their leather bindings worn from careful handling. He copied texts with meticulous care, ensuring the preservation of wisdom from figures like Gregory the Great or Isidore of Seville, his work illuminated by the soft glow of lamps fueled by beeswax. Afternoons might involve walks in the monastery grounds, where apple trees bloomed in spring and leaves rustled underfoot in autumn, offering moments to contemplate the natural world's quiet order. Bede's teaching extended beyond formal instruction. He guided novices through the complexities of the liturgical calendar, explaining how the cycles of feasts and fasts aligned with the stars' steady paths. Evenings brought the community together for vespers, the setting sun painting the chapel in warm hues as psalms were sung in measured tones. Bede's commitment to prayer remained central, not as a rigid obligation, but as a gentle thread weaving through his hours, connecting the spiritual with the scholarly. He composed hymns and homilies in these quieter times, his words flowing from a well of accumulated insight, shared during communal meals, where simple fare, bread, cheese, and ale brewed on site, nourished body and fellowship alike. The monastery faced occasional challenges, such as the plague that swept through in 686, claiming many lives, including that of Abbot Osterwein. Yet these trials only reinforced the bonds of brotherhood, with Bede helping tend the sick in the infirmary, his presence a source of calm amid uncertainty. Through it all, Bede's life as a monk and priest embodied a profound simplicity, where teaching became an extension of his own learning, and prayer infused every action with purpose. He instructed on topics ranging from biblical exegesis to the natural sciences, drawing connections between the Creator's works in Scripture and the observable world, like the tides influenced by the moon, or the migration of birds across the North Sea. His students, many of whom would carry his influence to other communities, benefited from his patient approach, lessons delivered without haste, allowing ideas to settle gradually. The monastery walls, sturdy against coastal winds, enclosed a world where time moved in cycles of renewal. From the planting of seeds in spring gardens to the harvesting of knowledge in winter studies. Bede's steady commitment shone in small, everyday acts. The careful illumination of a manuscript page, the quiet counsel offered to a troubled brother, or the faithful observance of the rule of Saint Benedict that governed their shared life. This period solidified his role not just as a scholar, but as a spiritual anchor within Jarrow, his days unfolding like the slow unfurling of a fern in morning light. The serene duties he embraced prepared him for greater works ahead, rooting his contributions in the quiet soil of monastic devotion, where faith and intellect bloomed together in unassuming splendor. In this way, Bede's ordination and daily life wove seamlessly into the larger story of his journey, a gentle progression marked by harmony and quiet purpose amid the rolling hills of Northumbria. As Bede's life as a priest settled into a rhythm of quiet devotion at Jarrow, his scholarly gifts began to bear fruit in a growing collection of writings that would illuminate the minds of many. Through his 30s and 40s, he turned his patient attention to composing works that wove together the threads of faith, history, and natural observation, sharing them within the monastery and beyond. These writings emerged gradually, like leaves unfurling in spring, born from long hours in the scriptorium, where the soft scratch of quill on parchment accompanied the distant call of seabirds over the Tyne. Bede's approach was never rushed. Each treatise or commentary reflected years of contemplation, drawing from the vast library at his disposal and the steady guidance of his mentors. Among his earliest contributions were biblical commentaries, thoughtful explorations of Scripture that invited readers to see deeper harmonies between the Old and New Testaments. He began with works on the Acts of the Apostles and the Catholic epistles, parsing the texts with gentle precision to reveal their spiritual depths without imposing rigid interpretations. These commentaries served as teaching tools for his fellow monks, used in the refectory during meals, or in evening gatherings where the community reflected on sacred words amid the warm glow of hearth fires. Bede's insights bridged the gap between ancient narratives and the daily lives of early English Christians, showing how stories of prophets and disciples echoed in the simple routines of prayer and labor. His commentary on the book of Genesis, for instance, delved into creation's order, likening the unfolding of the world to the measured cycles of monastic life, where each day mirrored divine design. Educational treatises formed another pillar of Bede's output, designed to nurture young scholars in the arts and sciences that supported a life of faith. In De Natura Rerum, or On the Nature of Things, he compiled observations on the physical world, drawing from classical authors like Pliny and Isidore to describe phenomena such as eclipses, tides, and the elements. Written in clear Latin, this work painted the cosmos as a vast, orderly tapestry, where the moon's phases influenced the sea's gentle rise and fall, much like the tides along Northumbria's coast that Bede knew so well. It was a book meant for quiet study, perhaps by lamplight on winter evenings when frost etched patterns on the monastery windows, encouraging readers to marvel at creation's subtle wonders without straying from spiritual roots. Bede's passion for chronology and timekeeping led to De Temporibus and its expanded companion De Tempore Ratione, or On the Reckoning of Time. These volumes addressed the practical needs of the Church, explaining how to calculate Easter dates and understand the calendar's flow. He wove in lessons on astronomy and arithmetic, illustrating how the sun's steady path across the sky marked seasons of growth and rest, akin to the monastery's own cycles of fasting and feasting. Such works were invaluable in an era when accurate timekeeping unified distant communities, and Bede shared them through copied manuscripts that traveled to other abbeys, carried by monks on horseback, along winding paths lined with hedgerows and wildflowers. His teachings extended beyond the page. As a mentor, he guided novices in these subjects during afternoon sessions in the cloister, where the soft rustle of leaves provided a soothing backdrop to discussions on lunar cycles and historical timelines. Homilies and hymns added a lyrical dimension to Bede's body of work, composed for liturgical use and personal reflection. His collection of homilies on the Gospels offered serene meditations on Christ's life and teachings, delivered in a style that flowed like a calm river, inviting listeners to ponder themes of redemption and grace. These were often read aloud during Mass or Compline, their words blending with the chapel's incense-scented air and the faint echo of waves from the nearby sea. Bede also penned hymns in Latin verse, celebrating saints and seasons, their rhythms echoing the chants that filled Jarrow's days. One such hymn honored the Virgin Mary, its verses unfolding with quiet elegance, much like the gradual blooming of roses in the monastery garden. Throughout this period, Bede's writings fostered a bridge between the spiritual and the scholarly, nurturing the emerging Christian culture in England. He remained rooted in Jarrow, rarely venturing far, yet his ideas spread through networks of monasteries, influencing abbots and kings alike. The plagues and political shifts of the time, such as the Synod of Whitby in 664, which had unified Easter observances, provided context for his work. Yet he addressed them with measured calm, focusing on unity rather than division. His treatises on orthography and metrics aided in the precise copying of texts, ensuring that knowledge endured amid Northumbria's changing landscapes, where mist-shrouded hills gave way to fertile valleys. By his later years, Bede had produced over 40 works, each one a testament to a life of unhurried dedication. These writings not only educated but also comforted, offering a sense of order in a world of flux, like stars holding steady in the night sky above the monastery. His teachings, shared among brothers during evening meals or quiet walks, emphasized harmony between intellect and devotion, planting seeds that would grow through centuries. In this way, Bede's growing body of work became a gentle legacy, illuminating paths for those who followed, all unfolding in the serene confines of Jarrow, where faith and learning intertwined like vines on ancient stone walls. In his later years, as the seasons continued their gentle cycle around Jarrow, Bede turned his thoughtful gaze to what would become his most enduring masterpiece, the ecclesiastical history of the English people. Completed around the year 731, when he was nearing 60, this work emerged from decades of quiet accumulation, drawing together threads of stories, documents, and memories that he had gathered like autumn leaves in a peaceful grove. The monastery remained his steadfast haven, its stone walls enclosing a world where the river's steady murmur provided a soothing accompaniment to his labors, and the soft light of northern skies filtered through the scriptorium windows to illuminate his pages. Bede approached this history not as a grand chronicle of battles or kings, but as a serene narrative of how Christianity had taken root in the English lands, unfolding like a slow-blooming flower across the centuries. He began by compiling accounts from earlier times, reaching back to the arrival of Roman missionaries in the late 6th century, when Augustine of Canterbury crossed the sea at Pope Gregory's behest to bring the faith to Kent. Bede described these early conversions with careful detail, noting how kings like Ethelbert embraced the new teachings, their courts gradually filling with the sound of chants and the scent of incense from newly built chapels. His words painted pictures of humble beginnings, monks traveling along dirt paths lined with ancient oaks, sharing tales of Christ with villagers gathered around hearth fires on cool evenings. As the narrative progressed, Bede wove in the stories of Northumbria's own awakening, recounting the missions of Aidan and Cuthbert, holy men who wandered the countryside with simple crosses and quiet conviction. He spoke of the Synod of Whitby in 664, where differing traditions of Celtic and Roman Christianity met in measured discussion, eventually aligning under a shared calendar that brought harmony to the Church's rhythms. Bede's account captured the subtle shifts in daily life, the replacement of pagan shrines with wooden churches, where bells tolled softly at dawn, calling communities to prayer amid mist-shrouded fields. He included miracles and visions, not as dramatic spectacles, but as gentle affirmations of divine presence, like the light of a candle steadying in a drafty room, offering comfort in times of uncertainty. To craft this history, Bede relied on a network of correspondence, monks and abbots from distant monasteries who sent him letters and documents by way of travelers on horseback, their journeys tracing the winding rivers and gentle hills of England. He consulted ancient records from Rome, preserved in Gero's library, and drew from oral traditions shared by elders who remembered the old ways fading into memory. His method was meticulous yet unhurried. He cross-checked facts with the patience of one watching tides ebb and flow, ensuring accuracy while infusing the text with a quiet reverence for the unfolding of providence. The work was divided into 5 books, each one building upon the last, like layers of sediment in a tranquil stream, chronicling the spread of faith from southern shores to northern realms. Bede's history also touched on the natural world, noting how the land itself seemed to respond to this spiritual transformation. Harsh winters giving way to fruitful springs, symbolizing renewal in the hearts of the people. He described the building of great abbeys like Lindisfarne, islands of serenity where scribes labored over illuminated gospels, their colors glowing like wildflowers in meadow grass. Through it all, Bede highlighted figures of quiet holiness, abbesses like Hilda of Whitby, who guided her community with wise counsel, fostering learning in halls warmed by peat fires, or kings like Oswald, whose devotion shone in acts of charity, distributing alms under the vast Northumbrian skies. This masterpiece was more than a record. It served as a bridge between past and present, preserving the fragile threads of memory for generations yet to come. Bede dedicated it to King Ceolwulf of Northumbria, a subtle nod to the interplay between royal patronage and monastic scholarship. Yet his tone remained humble, acknowledging the limitations of human knowledge, while trusting in the greater story woven by divine hands. As he wrote in the fading light of evening, surrounded by the soft sounds of his brothers at prayer, Bede captured the essence of a faith that had grown steadily, like roots deepening in fertile soil, nourishing the English Church through trials and triumphs alike. The ecclesiastical history stands as a testament to Bede's lifelong harmony of intellect and spirit, its pages offering a peaceful panorama of conversion and community. In his later reflections, he viewed this work as a culmination of his days at Jarrow, where the river's endless flow mirrored the continuity of history. It spread through copied manuscripts to other lands, carried across seas to influence scholars in distant scriptoria, ensuring that the quiet unfolding of Christianity in England would echo through time. Bede's careful details, names of forgotten missionaries, dates of serene councils, formed a mosaic of grace, inviting readers to appreciate the subtle ways in which light had dawned over the island's gentle landscapes. In completing this history, He embodied the monastic ideal, his quill moving with the same unassuming steadiness that marked his entire life, leaving a legacy as enduring as the stars over Northumbria's calm nights. As the pages of his great history lay complete, Bede entered the twilight of his earthly journey in the spring of 735, his body weakening under the gentle weight of years spent in devoted service at Jarrow. Now, in his early 60s, he had lived his entire life within the serene confines of the monastery, where the river's steady flow and the soft calls of birds marked the passage of time. An illness had settled upon him some weeks earlier, a quiet affliction that brought frequent shortness of breath. Yet it did not dim the calm resolve that had always defined him. The community noticed how he moved more slowly through the cloisters, his steps measured like the turning of a manuscript page. But his spirit remained anchored in the rhythms of prayer and study that had sustained him for so long. The sickness began around Eastertide, lasting for about 50 days, a period that unfolded with the gradual blooming of Northumbria's meadows and the lengthening of daylight hours. Bede continued his daily duties as best he could, gathering with his brothers for the canonical hours in the chapel, where the air carried the faint warmth of incense and the harmonious chant of psalms. His voice, though softened by fatigue, joined the others in these gatherings, rising and falling like waves lapping at the shore. Between times of communal worship, he rested in his simple cell, its walls lined with a few cherished books and a small window that framed views of the garden, where herbs grew in orderly rows under the spring sun. The monks tended to him with quiet care, bringing broths warmed over the hearth and ensuring his comfort amid the familiar sounds of monastery life, the distant clang of a bell, the rustle of leaves in the breeze. Even as his strength ebbed, Bede's commitment to his work remained unwavering, a gentle testament to the purpose that had guided him since childhood. He had been translating the Gospel of St. John into the vernacular tongue of the English people, a labor undertaken to share the sacred words with those beyond the cloister walls. Surrounded by his devoted brethren, he dictated passages from his bed, his words flowing steadily despite the occasional pause for breath. The young scribes who assisted him sat nearby, their quills moving across parchment in the soft light of tallow candles, capturing each phrase with reverence. Bede corrected them patiently, ensuring accuracy in the translation, much as he had taught generations of monks the intricacies of scripture and science. This final endeavor seemed to embody the harmony of his life, blending scholarly precision with a quiet desire to illuminate faith for others, like sunlight filtering through ancient oaks. As Ascension Eve approached on May 25th, the illness deepened, yet Bede's serenity held firm, a quiet anchor amid the gathering shadows. The monastery was alive with preparations for the holy day, the chapel adorned with fresh greenery from the surrounding fields, and the air scented with wildflowers gathered along the riverbanks. Bede requested that his brothers remain close, and they formed a small circle around him, their presence a comforting weave of shared brotherhood. He distributed a few humble possessions, a bit of incense, some pepper from distant trades, simple tokens from his modest life, offering them with words of gentle encouragement. The afternoon light slanted through the window as he continued dictating the last verses of the Gospel, his voice steady though faint, completing the work just as the sun began its slow descent. "It is finished," he murmured softly, echoing the sacred text itself, before turning to a hymn of praise. In the deepening twilight, as the community chanted Vespers nearby, Bede joined in the Gloria, his final words rising like a soft exhalation into the evening air. Surrounded by his brethren, who held vigil through the quiet hours, he passed peacefully into rest on the eve of Ascension, May 26, 735. His departure as unassuming as the fall of night over the Northumbrian hills. The monks mourned with subdued sorrow, burying him in the monastery grounds where he had spent his days, the earth receiving him like an old friend. News of his passing spread gradually through the network of abbeys, carried by travelers along winding paths, affirming the legacy of a life fully given to divine purpose through humble scholarship and steadfast devotion. This serene approach to his end reflected the essence of Bede's existence, a gentle unfolding of faith and knowledge, where each moment aligned with the greater harmony of creation. His final days offered a quiet example to those who remained, showing how illness could be met with grace, work continued until the last, and transition embraced as a natural return to the source of all light. In the years that followed, Jarrow's halls echoed with memories of his presence, the scriptorium alive with copies of his works, ensuring his wisdom endured like stars emerging in a clear sky. Bede's passing marked not an abrupt close, but a soft continuation, his spirit woven into the fabric of the church he had so lovingly chronicled, a beacon for souls seeking peace in the quiet turn of history. In the quiet aftermath of Bede's passing, his presence lingered like a soft echo through the halls of Jarrow, where the river continued its steady course, and the monastery carried on with the gentle routines he had known so well. Though buried in the simple earth of the abbey grounds, his body would later be moved to Durham Cathedral in the 11th century, a peaceful relocation that placed him amid the enduring stones of a grander shrine, where pilgrims came to honor the one known as the Venerable. This title, bestowed not long after his death by those who revered his wisdom, captured the essence of a life lived in humble harmony with faith and learning, a name that spread across England and beyond, as stories of his scholarship traveled through networks of abbeys and courts. Bede's legacy unfolded gradually, much like the slow turning of seasons in Northumbria's landscapes, where mist-shrouded mornings gave way to clear afternoons. His writings, meticulously copied by devoted scribes in scriptoria lit by flickering lamps, found their way into libraries across Europe, preserving knowledge that might otherwise have faded into obscurity. The ecclesiastical history of the English people became a cornerstone, not merely a record of events, but a serene tapestry that wove together the threads of conversion, kingship, and holy lives, offering future generations a window into how Christianity had taken gentle root in the island's soil. Scholars in distant places, from the cloisters of France to the halls of Italy, drew upon its pages, finding in them a measured voice that bridged the ancient world with the emerging medieval era, its details as reliable as the stars' fixed paths in the night sky. As centuries passed, Bede's influence deepened in the quiet realms of education and theology, where his treatises on time, nature, and scripture continued to guide minds seeking order amid life's uncertainties. Monks and clerics turned to his works on the calendar to align their feasts and fasts, ensuring the Church's rhythms flowed in unison across vast distances, like rivers merging into a greater sea. His biblical commentaries, rich with insights drawn from careful study, nourished spiritual understanding without fanfare, inviting readers to ponder the sacred texts in the calm of evening hours. Even in the natural sciences, Bede's observations on tides and celestial movements endured, their precision echoing in later astronomical pursuits, a subtle reminder of how one man's patient gaze upon the world could illuminate patterns woven into creation itself. The path to sainthood for Bede came in 1899, when Pope Leo XIII declared him a doctor of the Church, a recognition that affirmed his place among the great teachers of faith, alongside figures like Augustine and Thomas Aquinas. This honor, bestowed in a world far removed from 7th century Northumbria, highlighted the timeless quality of his contributions, how his gentle scholarship had helped shape the intellectual foundations of Western Christianity. Pilgrims visiting his tomb in Durham found a site of serene reflection, the cathedral's arches rising like ancient trees, enclosing a space where history and spirit intertwined. Bede's feast day, observed on May 25, became a quiet occasion for remembrance, marked by readings from his works in churches and monasteries, their words carried on the soft cadence of choral hymns. Through the ages, Bede's wisdom has continued to offer comfort in times of change, his histories reminding us of the steady progression of faith across generations. From the first missionaries stepping onto English shores to the enduring communities they inspired. In libraries and classrooms, his books rest on shelves worn by countless hands, their pages turning with the same unhurried pace that defined his life. Modern scholars still consult his accounts for glimpses into early medieval England, finding in them not just facts, but a peaceful perspective on human endeavors, where triumphs and trials alike unfold under a benevolent gaze. His emphasis on harmony between knowledge and devotion resonates in quiet ways, influencing educators who seek to blend reason with reverence, much like the interplay of sunlight and shadow in a tranquil garden. This enduring reflection on Bede invites a soft appreciation for how one individual's devoted path can cast a gentle light across centuries, illuminating the interconnectedness of history and spirit. In the calm of night, as stars wheel overhead in patterns he once charted, his legacy endures as a beacon of quiet wisdom, encouraging all who encounter it to value the simple pursuits of learning and faith. Bede remains a companion for those drawn to stories of saints, his life a serene narrative that whispers of possibilities born from steadfast harmony, weaving its way into the fabric of time like a river finding its way to the sea.